YouTube. Oh wait, I gotta check one more thing, sorry, hold on. There we go, okay, we're good. Oh, John Hinkleman's coming. There we go. Okay, Mamie.
Good morning. Welcome to the Berrien County last 2020 financial meeting. Good morning, Stephanie. Would you call the roll, please?
Morning. Commissioner Yarborough?
Present.
Commissioner Harrison?
On Zoom.
Present on Zoom from Lincoln Township.
Oh, yeah.
So you're present on Zoom in Benton Harbor, right, Amy?
Yes, that's where I am.
Okay.
Commissioner Hinkleman?
Yes, I'm here, present on Zoom from Waterville at Cambridge Township.
Commissioner Scott?
Here, Zoom, New Buffalo Township.
Thank you. Annette, would you please go with the agenda and tell us what's the first item?
Sure, so first up was going to be Financial Services Director Doug James, but we would like to change that up just a little bit. We do have the road department on here. Carrie and Jason are on Zoom. And I just wanted to double check and have them here in case you had any questions about the road payables or the requisition list, which included some road requisitions. So if you have any questions about that, we can ask them while they're here before we get into the rest of the meeting.
Okay. Commissioners, committee, any questions?
No questions from Bob Harrison.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Scott, I've got a couple of questions. On the requisitions, we're showing 4 single axle chassis and 4 bodies. Almost $900,000. And then 4 Ford F-250s for another $145,000. It's showing fiscal year 2021. Is that part of the use of the 4 million in the fund balance that you had listed out on the budget request, or is this something different?
No, this is this was in the actual budget hearing from, was that September? So those are line items directly out of that budget, exactly as presented.
Any more questions? Jason, is there anything that you want to tell us?
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Thank you.
No, everything over here is going well. I think our 2 snow events went, I'd say without a hitch, but maybe a couple little hitches, but everything's been good. We were up at 3 o'clock this morning. Everybody was out clearing roads. Same thing on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So I think everyone's happy to be in the swing of things. We can get everybody in their truck. We can socially distance and stay on top of stuff. So very, very proud of our staff and what they accomplish. And I think we're doing good things over here.
Thank you. And I would like to know about your health. Is there a lot of, or very little, COVID going on?
We're
I don't know if I said that right. But
yeah, we don't have anybody off for COVID related issues. So we're doing good.
That's so wonderful. Thank you. Commissioners, any other questions? Thank you. And to you all, Carrie and Jason and all the Road Commission Department, I wish you a happy and healthy new year.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Annette?
Yep, so now we're going to go to the Financial Services Director, Doug James, for the year-end committee business.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. James?
All right. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
We had sent you a copy of a year-end estimate. That was one of the items we were going to go over today, very briefly. Right now, that is that's a one-page document that you received. Right now, we estimate that the full year sources of funds will be about $60.3 million. And the uses of funds will be $60.3 million, almost $60.4 million. So there will be a net decrease in fund balance of around 44,000. That also includes, there are things that are factored into that. We did not pull in an MA refund that we had done in the past, close to $1 million. We have excluded that at this point, and did not draw those funds. We will draw somewhere up to about $1.8 million of the delinquent tax revolving fund. We were originally budgeted at $2,685,000. And we're figuring $1.8 million now at this point in time. That's partly driven by the fact that some of our revenue sharing went away for 2020, or I shouldn't say went away, was allocated to COVID for COVID purposes by the state. And then we are asking, and we have an estimated year-end appropriation for the health insurance fund of $1 million. That is what we had listed in our annual budget document, that if funds were available, we would appropriate $1 million to that. And then another $600,000 for other fund support, which things pop up as we go through year end, that folks' fund balances may decline beyond where we want them to, or where they should. So we're just allowing $600,000 for that. If it's not needed, then we would not be allocating that money for that purpose. We could put it into capital at a point, but we would want to have a quick conversation with you on that. So that basically is the year as we estimate it right now. I will guarantee you I will not be 100% right. And a lot happens between now and the time in which we finally close. You have a resolution that's also been provided to you for the Finance Committee. It's F2012427, in which this is the basic resolution that you get at the end of the year around an additional appropriation of unused funds. And again, I've listed the health insurance fund at $1 million, and then other fund balance transfers at $600,000. And I guess I'm asking for you folks your blessing, or if you want to change something, I'm all ears. But that's what I present to you today from what I have available to me.
I thank you so much for putting it on the screen, because I'm on the computer with the Zoom in it, but I thank you for sharing. And I want to know, is it on the agenda for you to say some of these things in the regular meeting, or kind of what? Administrator Doucette, tell us, how will we handle this?
So this is going to be handled at the Finance Committee level.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, historically, this has been a Finance Committee resolution. In your regular meeting, you could make some statement to the degree of, in your normal business reporting, that you'd approved it, but this would be at your level.
Okay, that's good, because I was right, but I thought, whoa, this is too much here. So do you need a motion from us or a consensus to accept the resolution? And then is the resolution presented to the whole board?
Right, so normally you wouldn't do motions for resolutions, but because this one is just going to Finance Committee, we should do a motion for this one and vote on that. And then this will be kept in your action, attached with your minutes. And so we will have that for a paper record.
Okay. May I have a motion, please? Or, yes, because before we discuss it, we need a motion. May I have a motion to accept the resolution?
This is Commissioner Scott, so moved.
May I have support?
This is Commissioner Harrison. I support the motion.
It's been moved and properly supported. Any questions, discussion? Then,
As
Stephanie,
for
would-
your,
Madam
Someone-
Chair, I didn't realize I was muted. I have a question.
okay,
Doug, this resolution that we're going to vote on right now has really nothing else left to do with the contingency. Is that correct?
There would be, this would be in the original budget, we had $1.3 million in contingency. In this estimate, there is no contingency. So we've let that piece of it go. I'm assuming that from the excess expense, the original appropriated expense, we will see a certain amount of breakage, including a portion of that contingency, and that it would be available to do what we normally do, which is a year-end appropriation.
All right, and then my next question is, are we also, with this resolution, authorizing any payment of bills up till the 31st for that, so you don't have to come back to finance?
Payment of bills, you will have the normal resolution coming around payment of bills. This is so that we can address the individual finances within in the general fund.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
any further questions? Stephanie, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Yarborough,
Yes.
Commissioner Harrison,
Yes.
Commissioner Hinkleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott.
Yes.
Motion carries. Annette?
Sorry, I buried my agenda. Oh, I guess I'm next to talk about board appointments.
Oh, okay.
So this morning I sent you a list. We had chatted previously about renewals for reappointments for public transportation, the Public Transportation Local Advisory Council. We had an individual on economic development, an individual being reappointed to Public Works. And then in a separate email, I also sent you the list of all the applicants for Planning Commission. So if we have consensus from Finance, we can move the reappointments forward. I can actually, I have my list now, so if you want me to say them out loud, I can. It's a gentleman, oh, and I left off the workforce development, that's a reappointment as well on those. And so I need consensus from Finance to take these reappointments to the full board for today. And then I guess we should have a conversation about your Planning Commission and all of those applications that you have.
Thank you. What I did was, can we go to the ones that are the reappointments? Are those when it was just like one person? Were they all reappointments? None of them were new?
Yeah, these are all reappointments. Mark Joseph to Economic Development Corporation, Richard Dyer to the Workforce Development Board, and then Francis Maynard, Hannah Lee Sam, and Cindy Gray to Public Transportation, and then Matt Colas to Public Works Board.
Okay. This LAC, that's something with area agency. They're volunteers. Do they go to meetings? What do they do?
So this is the Public Transportation Local Advisory. They meet every quarter, and this one is the statute drives how this board is made up, and so there are specific categories that have to be filled, and these individuals fill those specific categories.
They fit. But there's one that lives in Kalamazoo. Is that they used to live here, they moved to Kalamazoo, and can they still be on this or not?
So the category that she's filling is where she's employed, which I think she was the one who's area agency on aging, if I remember correctly.
It's Area Agency on Aging.
Yep, and so she's representing that body, which is in Marion County. So, in that case, they have not put forward anybody else to take that spot, so she's representing them.
Okay, all right, that's what because I looked through them, and I saw that, and I didn't know what our rules are about that, but she still works in St. Joe.
Correct.
Okay. Commissioner, committee, do you have any questions or any thoughts about reappointing? Then may I have a motion, please, to reappoint those, this is not about the Planning Commission, to reappoint those people that were brought to us.
This is,
Yeah, maybe I just need consensus, I'm sorry, I don't need a motion.
Oh.
We just need to make sure everybody.
yep, it's fine.
I
I'm
agree.
good with it.
Yeah,
Good, all right.
I agree.
Okay.
Okay, so now what will you do with I had a number of questions about this Planning Commission. Should this be a special meeting that we talk about this, or do we have time to talk about this today?
The only other thing that you have today is just your resolution and approving your minutes. If you want to have the conversation now, we can, or we can wait if you'd like to do that.
Let's make a conversation then. Let's have a conversation.
Have to have a discussion.
Commissioner,
Oh,
do you
sorry.
have discussion? Commissioners? Then I would like to know, this is what I want to know. There were 8 applications. I'd like to see this, that we have 2 women, I think. No, 1 woman. I'd like to see a woman on this board. There are 3 seats available, Annette?
I was trying to put that together before I came down here. I believe so, yes. But the kicker to this though is that I sent you that one sheet that's made up of their articles, which shows who the categories that these members have to fit in.
Right, I wrote that down. I looked at it.
And so I guess we kind of just need to make sure that we're fitting within a category where they can go, I guess,
Which was transportation, economic, and recreational. And we already
Yes.
have someone, these may be already covered.
I'm sorry.
You're
what?
on the existing people.
Right, so yeah, that email that I sent you from Katie was them trying to fit the people they have now in a specific category. But that has, I mean, some of these have some really large, I mean, that's not the word. There's a lot of different components to a category that could, somebody could fit into, so.
Yeah. And that's what I did from where they live. We want to look at the, regional, where they're from. I just wrote down a whole page of stuff. So what, are we going to interview these people? Are we going to just go by some of the things I said? If there was just one, was it just one woman?
Who applied, yeah. Yep.
And I want our committee to have something to say or some thoughts about this, but I'd like very much to see this one woman on this board because, do we have any others? Makeup now is 5. And sometimes I counted 9 and sometimes I counted 10. Help me, there are 9 people on this committee?
Well, I was just trying to count that. 1, 2, 3. There's 9. Oh, I'm sorry. You just recently did Vandenhoven, so that took one of those spots. So there's 2 remaining on that, and you can see where they plugged in. It currently has, Commissioner Freeling is on there, as well as Lois Foster would be the other females that are on that.
Yes. Have you had anyone to resign from the Planning Commission? What's that lady's name that's been on stuff for years? That's not Lois Foster. There's another lady that lives in New Buffalo area. She works for Lake Michigan College?
I'm not sure who you're referring to.
There's someone that was going to resign or had been on it for many years, and I heard him say she was a Democrat and she was going to resign.
Yeah, so this year we had, that's part of the reason why we have the openings that we do. J.D. Hoyt did not seek reappointment, and Vicki Wagner, I think that's. who
Vicki
you're thinking of.
Wagner. Vicki
Yeah.
Wagner is the name. So she's no longer on this. Was she on this committee?
She's good till the end of the year.
Okay,
So this year or next year?
this
No,
year.
this,
And she wasn't going to seek to be reappointed.
correct.
And you already know that? Is that in this number here?
No, she said, yeah, I know that. She sent a letter stating that she was not going to seek reappointment.
So do we need 2 people or 3?
You need 2.
Okay. Well, Commissioners, do you have any comment or thought? I would like for this woman to be placed on here. And I don't know her. I'm just going by, we need,
Madam Chair,
yes?
if it would help to narrow the applicant pool between myself and Annette, we can work with you to set up 5 to 10 minute Zoom calls with each of the candidates. And you can then refine your list and bring that back to finance for
Okay.
consideration.
Thank
It may
you.
very well be that after we review these a little bit with more detail, that they just may not have a category at this time.
Yeah,
So we might be able to narrow it down that way.
Yeah.
Also.
Okay. Or that they have, it when you look at the resume, or they have experience in these things and can be that, huh?
yeah,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
what I'm thinking is Annette and I schedule time with you for early next week.
Okay.
We can go through these in greater detail.
We can't,
Oh,
because we'll, after the end of this year, finance would potentially be a different committee next year.
oh,
And so we would have to wait until after, I forgot all about that.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
we gotta wait till after the organizational meeting, and then we'll have to revisit this.
Okay, okay, all right. Because I don't think I want to do anything this rest of this week anyway.
okay.
But that's what I felt like it was heavy. I mean, there are 8 people that have applied and we need to give it justice. Okay, so
Yep.
that's what we'll do. Thank you. Thank you so
Ma-
much, Administrator.
Madam Chair?
Yes,
Yes. Commissioner Scott, listen, I'm a little confused. Maybe we can go over this again. Are there 4 openings, 3 openings, or 2 openings?
Hold on, I'm gonna double check.
I'm a little confused, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Getting near the end of the year.
that's what, yeah, and that's why it's more than a minute here on this. Because I analyzed it really well. Go ahead, Annette.
There's 9 people. I had forgotten you guys recently just did Vandenhoven. So that
Yeah.
took one of the other spots. So there would have been 3. You appointed him already, and that leaves 2. So we have 2 vacancies. And then, and depending on which category they're put in, which would depend on, you know, who can be appointed and that kind of thing. Does that answer your question, Commissioner Scott? Yes?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
So
Any
Madam Chair,
questions? Yes,
I'll follow up with you. We'll schedule time for early next week, and between myself and Annette, we can work through some suggestions, and you can determine how to bring this back, assuming that the Finance Committee makeup stays the same.
okay, all right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Annette, for all that you do.
Is
What's
there
the
any
next, what's in,
geographic-
huh?
I'm just wondering if there's any geographic distribution we're also trying to achieve.
Yeah, I looked at that too. I wrote down where they're from.
I know it makes it a little more complex.
It doesn't say that for planning, but it does say that, so here's the other kicker to this, is that the planning commission gets to appoint somebody to the Parks and Recreation Commission, and that person's gone now because that was J.B. Hoyt. So the other thing that we have to consider is that we do need to take that into consideration when we're appointing, because then they're gonna pick somebody to go on Parks and Rec, and in Parks and Rec, it's a geographical, and they want certain categories as well, so I'll take that in.
Uh-huh, and that's what I wrote where they're from, and it's the ones that are already on it. It's good, but we need these two, we need to look and see where, quite a few St. Joe, and I don't know if it's St. Joe City or St. Joe Township. That's kind of, so we need to meet.
We can look at that, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I'm sorry, I interrupted Commissioner Scott.
No.
Go ahead, sir.
This is Commissioner Scott, I have a question. Odd, but our organizational meeting is on the 7th. I believe we have a COVID on the 6th. Why can't finance meet on the 5th or the 6th? Because all of the commissioners that are on finance are not new elected. We're still on finance.
not necessarily.
Well, but we won't know that until the
7th.
organizational meeting.
We won't know it until the 7th.
Right. So my question is, if something came up where finance had to meet on some emergency series,
Yeah,
could we still meet and make decisions before that September or before that January 7th meeting? Just my thoughts.
the clerk may be in charge. I don't know. After January, January 1, what? I don't know.
I get you. I understand what you're saying and where you're coming from. I was just thinking, I guess, that at the end of the year, you're at the end, but you're right. Finance makeup wouldn't be affected, right? Because you guys have all been reelected, right? So, gotcha.
I don't know. I don't know. We're all thinking.
That might be something that Annette could maybe check with the clerk on to find out, even though our term ends on the 31st, and it's probably in our bylaws too. So I don't know, but it was just a thought.
We'll do some more work on that for sure.
Thank
And
you.
our attorney is on vacation, so we need to leave him alone. I don't know what that costs.
He's been very active, even though he's been on vacation. So he's.
Oh, okay.
I just.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, what's next on the agenda?
I didn't realize that Doug needs to give a COVID funds update. So I'm going to turn you back over to Doug James.
Okay.
Oh, Brian, sorry. There you go.
Okay, I'm assuming this, have you commissioners, have you received this in email?
I thought you sent it to me yesterday.
I send it to you and I send it to the three of you.
Then
I
they
didn't
should have
send it to
gotten
the
it.
commissioners. What's that?
I said then they should have gotten it, I think.
The dollar number looks familiar. I don't know.
All right, okay. What you had asked me in the last meeting was to give you an update on the COVID relief fund. So I'm going to do that here quickly. We have different categorizations of expense that have been provided to us as guidance from the feds coming down through the state. We have gone through the process of coding those expenses and dropping them in the individual buckets here. So I'm just going to walk down through this real quick. There's right now we have a personnel services that have been diverted for COVID purposes. That would be Kim Fedison at $68,000. I think we talked about that at one point. I'm going to just move on down here. the COVID testing and contact tracing, there's $58,875 that have been expended. Of that, jail population testing in and of itself is $51,000 of the total. The rest has to do with employee testing that came to us in Billings from Lakeland. The next line, the $220,486, that has to do with the EpiLab capacity tracing. And we pulled in the 23rd through the 26th payroll from the health department for that. Their program, they also have a program. However, their program runs through September 30th. Since we were in a position that we had excess funding and they were going to probably, in all likelihood, run out of funding by the end of September, we determined that we would claim those expenses here, which would give them the ability to continue on for a longer period of time with this. That was $220,000. If we move down, there's telework capability improvements, $44,000. And we still have outstanding purchase orders that we assume we will be billed for within the appropriate time of $142,000. That has to do with that computer equipment that, for the most part, that computer equipment that we talked about. Moving on, there is $3,200, which I don't really want to talk much about, but that was in temporary holding facility for COVID deceased. We'll just describe it that way. Then on down, there's $39,000 that has to do with the benefit costs for hazard pay. The hazard pay program covered only the $1,000 gross. It didn't cover the benefit costs. So under the definition, we assumed that we could take the benefit costs that were incurred as a result of that and charge it here as well. Okay, and that's $39,000. And then we have $99,000 in expense, which is in the, there we go. $99,760 in expense. That has to do with the infection prevention capacity at the health department. It's the same assumption applies with the timing. Then we have personal protection equipment. Yes.
Doug, Commissioner Scott, I have got a real quick question. If you go back, you said the benefit costs would not be, you didn't do that. Well, I don't know if we really could do that because the benefit cost is still going to be there whether COVID was there or not. Is that correct?
It would not. This is the benefit cost that pertains directly to the $1,000 payment.
Oh.
And the fair share allocation of that.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. And the state was not providing funding for that, or the feds were not providing funding for that portion. So I jumped to the conclusion, fine, and we need to use the $39,000 to offset that. Then moving on down, personal protection equipment, we've expended $245,000 so far, another 15 to go yet this year. The public health expenses, the payroll piece, the 16 grand, has to do with Thomas Meyer, who is dedicated to the disinfection over at the jail, does the cleaning. And then the ServPro and Heaven Sent is the $278,000 there. Okay, so there are quite a few, and I'm just we need to jump to the bottom line here, I think. But what we have here are about funds that have been expended, which includes what we assume will be billed to us yet in the amount of $166,000. We assume that we will have expenses totaling $1,309,000. We have received funding of $1,385,000, and MMRMA offset a portion of the expenses that are shown above in the form of a grant, so we need to net that in there. So we have unexpended funds at the present time of $96,000. We also have additional considerations here having to do with legal legal services that were provided, reviewing and dealing with health department contracts for COVID and enforcement issues. That's around 13 grand. And then we have, which kind of came up, employee testing that has come through our Blue Cross Blue Shield health insurance fund, totaling $32,000 for testing, and another $11,000 for treatment, $12,000 for treatment. Those seem like they would be eligible from my perspective. Otherwise, that's going to dig our health insurance fund and it was an unexpected expense, not budgeted for expense within the health insurance fund. So if we factor those in, it comes down to almost $40,000 of unexpended dollars. And then the list at the bottom has to do with the items that we were expecting that were originally incorporated that we will not have by the end of the year. So that's $106,000. So with that, I'm telling, we're in a position right now where we still have unexpended funds of around 39 grand. Brian?
Yeah, so commissioners, at this point, it looks like at the federal level, there may be a ruling that pushes our reporting out beyond December 30. State of Michigan has not announced that yet. We are crossing our fingers that they will. If that occurs, then any of these unexpended dollars, the $39,000, we should easily be able to book to our COVID responses. Further, just in the last few days, it appears that a second round of CARES Act at the federal level is in the process of being approved. We don't know what that will mean to the county, but assuming if the second round of CARES Act goes similar to the first round, we have more than enough projects in the queue that we can book directly to the second round that we should be in good shape. But the thing I want to stress to the commissioners is between Doug and his team and then Chris over at BIS department, these folks have really been busting their tails to get projects queued up, purchase orders, and then take delivery of those materials prior to the 30th in an effort to book every expense possible to the CARES Act. I think they've done a really good job in a very short period of time. And this is something that it really feels a bit like shifting sands, trying to navigate what is CARES Act eligible, what is not. And then up until just a few weeks ago, we were running with the assumption that if we had a PO issued prior to the 30th that we were good. We got a revised opinion from Department of Treasury indicating that POs were not enough, that you had to take physical possession. That really complicated the issue. The good news is just in the last few days, we took possession of about 85 new laptops, all of which are booked to this. The bad news is some of the items like the docking stations and other AV equipment, they haven't arrived yet. So got a ton of effort. I wish the $39,000 wasn't there at all, but given the circumstances, I feel like the team here has done a good job of doing their best to spend every dollar of CARES Act money before the end of the calendar year. Those are my comments. I'll defer to the board.
Thank you. Doug James, do you have anything else for us?
No, that's enough. Thank you.
Finance Committee, any questions of Director James? Annette, what's next on the agenda?
The next on the agenda is just your committee business. So the first one is the resolution for the approval of the bills. If anybody has any questions on that, we can take that, or we can move that forward to the full board.
Madam Chair,
Any questions?
Scott, I'll make that motion.
Who is that? Scott?
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you. May I have a support?
This is Commissioner Harrison. I'll support the motion.
Any questions? Any discussion? Would you call the roll, please, Stephanie?
Commissioner Yarborough,
Yes.
Commissioner Harrison,
Yes.
Commissioner Hinkleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott.
Did he say yes?
Yes.
There we go.
Thank
He
you.
was muted.
Thank you. It passes. Annette?
Yep, the next one is the road payables, the road payables for that period of time. That's going to be F2012133.
May I have a motion?
This is Commissioner Harrison. I'll make the motion.
Support, please.
Commissioner Scott, I'll support Commissioner Harrison.
Any discussion? Any questions? Would you call the roll, please, Stephanie?
Commissioner Yarborough,
Yes.
Commissioner Harrison,
Yes.
Commissioner Hinkleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion to approve the minutes of the December 23rd meeting.
May I have a motion, please?
This is Commissioner Harrison. I'll make the motion to approve the minutes of December 23rd.
Thank you.
I'll
Support,
Commissioner
please.
Harrison.
May I have a support?
Scott, Commissioner Scott has supported it.
Yes, I support it, Madam Chair.
Any questions, corrections? Would you call the roll, please, Stephanie?
Commissioner Yarborough,
Yes.
Commissioner Harrison,
Yes.
Commissioner Hinkleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott.
Yes.
Thank you. Annette?
So I asked PHSC if anybody had any questions about the terms of appropriation that's going to go to the full board today, or the requisition list, just because of this. It was very, very long. Did you guys have any questions on those, or were you okay with them? I don't need any action. I just wanted to give you a chance to ask questions if you had it.
On a lot of those, wasn't that annual where we, like to the jail, allot money for a year for the food and milk, and is that what those big numbers were?
Yep, those are blanket resolution or
Yeah.
requisitions.
What it was called?
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
Any other questions, commissioners?
Madam Chair, it's Commissioner Scott.
Yes.
Annette, the resolution for the appropriations for the senior centers, is that the identical one that we passed last year? Because I believe we changed around some of the things that they had to do in order to get that money. Did any of that change, or is that just a date change, basically?
No, it is basically just a date change. We did, last year, we had added a few more things, and then I checked with Doug and Ben, because they had been in those conversations. Was there anything else that we needed to add? And at this time, there was not. So we just changed the dates on there, and then in my update that I'm gonna give you before you vote on that at the board meeting, I'll talk about, them meeting their terms of appropriation and that kind of thing. So, yeah, it is the same resolution with the exception of the dates.
All right, because the only reason I was asking about that is when we were still having our in-house meetings, if that's what you want to call it, there was a long, lengthy discussion with the auditor
Yep.
the senior centers. And I just wanted to make sure that we had met all of the requirements of what the auditor had to say on the last audit, which I thought we had done. Maybe those are the changes, Doug, you're talking about.
They were made the year before. Those changes in the terms of probation were made the year before. And then when she gives you her update, there's that sheet that she has that has all the senior centers and then whether it's they've met it or not. So, yeah.
But we didn't add any.
I just wanted to make sure that it was like it was before because we needed to have that stuff in there. Thank you.
Correct. Yeah, correct.
And so may I ask, the senior centers are doing well and have met those goals and all? Do they ever say this is a good way to go, or they have any comment, nay or yay about it?
No, I haven't had any feedback from them like that. I mean, one of the things I'm going to talk about at the 10:30 meeting is that they were very good about communicating with administration, you know, if they had to shut down because they had people, you know, that they had COVID in the center and stuff like that. They were really, really good about keeping us in the loop. And still getting us, even though some of them were closed for a while, they still got us the documentations at the deadlines they were supposed to. So it all looks really good.
Good. Any other questions or discussion? It's on my mind to ask Doug James, would you be in the room when we have our regular meeting?
I can be.
Yeah, there's so many things, so many numbers. You don't know what you know, another commissioner may have questions. And I know that Brian has the information and all too, but I'd ask that you be there so that we could ask you something should we want to.
You certainly.
Madam Chair, I have one other comment on that. For Administrator Doucette, COVID, income and expenditures, would you be able to share that also with the following and the rest of the board? Because they won't know about that.
Commissioner, are you asking the file that was presented, do you want that shared with the full board?
I was thinking, yeah, because the full board,
Okay.
they probably are interested in knowing that also. I mean, it's kind of a finance thing and we're the kind of number crunchers going over it, but I think that they would like to know where we kind of stand and what we've already done and what monies we've expended and how much we've gotten back in.
And,
Do you want
go ahead.
Would it make sense just under committee business, just to display it at that time?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, I'll
right, thank you.
plan to do that. I'll ask Doug to try to give the 30,000 foot level summary to the full board, but we'll have it, we'll be ready, and it'll be shared with the full board in about 15 minutes.
Good. I appreciate that. And what I will do is simply in my finance say that we had report on COVID and you'll get that. I don't know if the finance committee speak is before this what you're talking about? You know, when the administration, when the different committees make a report and then this COVID would be later?
Yeah, we can let you summarize today's meeting and then just give me the high sign.
Very
I'll display it.
Thank you. I like that.
Thank you.
Who is that? Who is that masked man?
That's Paul Jansen Jr.
Okay.
Hello again.
Hello.
Hello again.
Getting a little paranoid there.
I haven't had any cocktails. I don't know what I might say, but I'm practicing for New Year's Eve. Good morning, sir. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you.
All right, I think we're good.
And then?
Yeah, we're all good. I checked for public comments. You do not have any public comments? Just look one more time. Nope. 8 people watching and we don't have any, so you're good.
Okay. Attorney Jansen, do you have something you wanted to report to us?
He's
We
here
told
for the
him
board.
20 minutes of
Here for the
presentation.
full board.
All right. Yeah. I'm here at any time. I can.
It's easy.
20 after 10. Come on.
So he's early for another meeting?
He's here for the board meeting, yeah.
Uh-huh, okay, wonderful. Please, commissioners, anything else you would like to ask or say? Then is that everything, Annette?
Yep, that's it.
Thank you so much. Thank you all. Happy New Year to you, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you, ma'am.